I welcome you all on behalf of the Indian Chamber of International Business. And I hope that this is going to be a great session interacting with the young people of today, focusing on what the future is going to be about and how, we at the Indian Chamber of International Business, the Calcutta Chamber of Commerce, the British Council and the NASSCOM, and of course, the British Deputy High Commission in Calcutta are focusing on the empowerment of youth in today's time. So on behalf of the Indian Chamber of International Business, I welcome all of you today to this lovely session. To begin, and I would like to say a few lines about our chamber, what we do, just so there's a background. And so Indian Chamber of International Business is not a very old chamber, unlike some others, like our partner Calcutta Chamber of Commerce. It's more than 100 years old. We are just a little baby of just about 20 years. Indian Chamber of International Business, or ICIB, has been focusing majorly on trade and business relations. That being said, in addition to that, we are also focused majorly on people-to-people connect and connections. That brings us to educational aspects, cultural exchanges, educational exchanges, tie-ups between institutions, between universities and colleges across boundaries. We are today present in about 42 countries and 12 states of India. It is this network that helps us leverage and get more than 400 MOUs with associations, chambers, and organizations across the globe. Today's focus is majorly going to be on the youth of today and how we are celebrating the International Youth Day. With this, I welcome all of you today to this session of ICIB, jointly with the Calcutta Chamber of Commerce, NASSCOM, British Council, and the British Deputy High Commission in Kolkata. With this, I would like to welcome our special guest today, our guest of honor, Excellency Nikhil, the British Deputy High Commissioner in Kolkata. Welcome, Excellency. Excellency, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Super, that's what we want. Well, as you can see, I'm celebrating International Youth Day by dressing as a youth. I'm wearing an England football shirt, and it's a great pleasure to be with you all this afternoon. To new friends and colleagues from the Indian Chamber of International Business, I think it's the first time I've worked with you. Thank you for inviting me this afternoon. How long would you like me to talk to? Because I suspect you're on a fairly tight schedule.
About 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, that works very well. Look, I think there are two things I need to set out. Firstly, why study overseas? And secondly, when I've convinced you to study overseas, why come and study in the UK? Why study overseas? I mean, I must declare my hand. For the last 30 years that I've been in Britain's Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office, the British equivalent of India's Ministry of External Affairs. Out of that 30 years, I've spent 25 living overseas. So I'm a convert to living overseas. It has brought me unimaginable and unimagined joys, perspectives, knowledge, experiences. I've seen things I would never otherwise have been able to see. I've done things that I would never otherwise have been able to do. And I've met people I would never otherwise have been able to have met. And if you study overseas, you too will share in those experiences. I absolutely understand that before you've done it for the first time, it can seem incredibly daunting, leaving behind everything you know, your family, your friends, possibly the food you like, the weather you've grown to love. And as you may have heard, although we're currently going through a heat wave, the sun doesn't always shine in my country. The thing is, that will always be there for you. And actually, it's there for you to a much greater extent than it was 30 years ago when I joined, where I would simply sit and type a letter to my mum and dad every Sunday evening. There were no video calls, even making an international phone call in those days was extremely expensive, and there wasn't any email. Could you imagine that? Really back in the dark ages. The other thing I'd say to you, or two other things to say to you, firstly, that schools and universities, certainly in my country, and I suspect around the world, now take the welfare of their students more seriously than they have ever done. We recognize students can get lonely. Our own students do. You know, if you're from London and you're at university in Glasgow or Manchester, home can seem an awfully long way away. And they're set up now to ensure that students who are feeling a bit lonely, or students who appear to be a bit lonely, have all the help they could ever need. And the overwhelming majority settle very quickly and have the best time of their life. The other thing I would say, particularly for Indian and Bhutanese students thinking of going to the UK, you will not be alone. And you'll not be alone for two reasons. Firstly, our Indian diaspora in the UK, and this is based on figures now that are 10 years old, like India, we have a census every 10 years. We reckon there are 1.6 million people of Indian origin living in the UK. And I defy you to find any high street in the UK that doesn't have an Indian restaurant, or any high street in the UK that has a supermarket that doesn't sell Indian food. So if you want a taste of home, believe you me, it's never going to be that far away. The second thing I'd say is that we think this summer, and we're going to start issuing student visas probably as early as next week, when the A-level results come out and universities confirm places. We think that for the first time, the number of Indian students at British universities will exceed that of any other country. It's been China for many, many years now, but all the signs are we will have more Indian students going to the UK this summer than any other country. And what I can tell you is that in the year that ended, March 2022, we issued over 100,000 visas to Indian students to study in the UK. Astonishing figure, isn't it? You know, you think, imagine Eden Gardens in Kolkata, absolutely jam-packed. You get all the people out and fill it up half again, and that would be the number of Indian students going to the UK. You could fill over 300 Air India 777s flying to London with all of those students. You will not be alone. So that's part one of my mission. I hope that's made sense to you about why study overseas. Why come to the UK? Well, of all the things you can ask a British diplomat, I think selling British education is probably the easiest to do. One of the world's top 2 universities, 2 of the world's top 4 universities, 4 of the world's top 8 universities, 5 of the world's top 15 universities. That is outrageous. When you consider the UK, there's less than 1% of the world's population. What gives us the right to have 50% of the world's top 8 universities? Absolutely extraordinary. And however far down the list you go, whether you look at the top 50, the top 100, the UK is hugely represented. If you go and study in the UK, you will be buying a world-class education that will stand you in good stead for the rest of your life. It's not only about the academic qualifications, but you know, it doesn't come cheaply, and I appreciate that will be the first thing on everyone's mind. It's also all the other things studying in the UK offers you, not least a 1 year if you're going to go and do a master's, 3 years if you're going to go and do, 3 or 4 years if you're going to go and do an undergraduate degree. It's 4 years total immersion in my country with everything that will bring with it. Absolutely brilliant country, says Nick, who spends most of his time living overseas, but really and truly, I love going back. I love doing sightseeing. Almost uniquely in Europe, the UK has not been invaded for almost 1,000 years. We've not had invading armies burning everything down. So much of our heritage going back hundreds and hundreds of years is perfectly intact. I think we've got over 100 castles and stately homes you can easily visit in a relaxed day trip out of London. It's some of the world's best museums. The nightlife is amazing, whether it's opera, ballet, rock music, sport, world-class sport, virtually any sport you could imagine you'll see. So if it's cricket, if it's rugby, if it's football, if it's track and field, you will find it in the UK. Have I sold it to you? Well, if I haven't, let me tell you one last thing. A couple of years ago, we introduced the post-study work visa, which means that when you graduate from any recognized UK university, so it doesn't have to be Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, University College London, it doesn't have to be one of the top 8, from any UK university, and whatever you graduate in, so you don't have to be a medical doctor, you don't have to be an astrophysicist, whether you've read golf course design or Anglo-Saxon, Norse and Celtic studies, you have an automatic right to a 2-year post-study work visa. You don't even have to have a job to go to. You can use that to look for a job, and if you enjoyed study in the UK, and I'm sure you will do, that gives you opportunity to spend another couple of years there, possibly pay off any debts you might have incurred, or just generally to be able to live in another part of the UK. I fear I've probably gone on too long. Can I just say to the organisers, if you could take a screenshot.
Please go ahead, Excellency. Please go ahead.
Well, look, if you can take a quick screenshot, because I do like to use Twitter, and I think the session you're doing this afternoon is absolutely brilliant, and I'd like to give it a little bit more publicity amongst the people who follow me on Twitter. So if you can do a quick screenshot and send it to me so I can use it, that would be very much.
Already done that, and we're recording this session, so we'll forward that to you too.
All right, I should probably get a rocket from my boss for doing an informal engagement wearing a football shirt, but I don't care, because I'm allowed to be young at heart. This is it is International Youth Day after all. So I think I have covered the bases that I want to cover, and let me just finally put this within the context of the bilateral relationship, because in May of last year, our Prime Minister, he still is Prime Minister for another 3 weeks or so, Boris Johnson, and the Honourable Prime Minister Narendra Modi agreed the 2030 UK-India roadmap. It's not a particularly snappy title. Fortunately, someone came up with the description "new era," so that's what I'm going to call it. So this UK-India new era promises great things. Really going to transform what's already a very, very good and very strong bilateral relationship, and it's going to strengthen it in all sorts of areas. Trade and investment, because we want to increase prosperity in both of our countries. In defence and security, both the UK and India very much committed to a free, open and peaceful Indo-Pacific. And I think our security relationship, which is already very good, is going to get even closer. And then, and these are the two that I think you're really going to like, people-to-people links, and that means making travel easier between our countries. It means increasing tourist numbers. It means increasing student numbers. And that means British students coming to India, as well as Indian students going to my country. And also really transforming, and that's my daughter, who is a student. It's just gone past me. It also means transforming our relationship in key areas like science, technology, research, and innovation. So let me finish on a message of hope, because hopefully you all know that what Oxford University, AstraZeneca, and Serum Institute of India have done has changed the world. They came up with an affordable vaccine that has gone into more arms in more countries around the world than any other vaccine. And believe you me, that has saved hundreds of thousands of lives. And that vaccine came on tap within a year of work starting on its development. If you'd said to people beforehand, you've got to come up with a vaccine for a previously unknown pathogen that will otherwise kill millions of people around the world, and here's the deal, you've got to do it in a year or so, everyone would have said, can't be done. 8 to 10 years to develop a vaccine from scratch. UK and India working together did it. And I think we can do the same thing on the other great global issues of our time. I think we can do it on climate change. I think we can do it in other areas of biomedicine. Some of you will be aware of the challenge that antimicrobial resistance poses. I reckon 1 million people died last year from bacterial infections that were resistant to our antibiotics. It's going to be a huge issue, but together we can crack that. And then there are the non-communicable diseases, Alzheimer's, cancer. You don't need me to go through them all, where I think the nanotechnology and the biotechnology we've made enormous progress in over the last 2 or 3 years, puts us in very good stead for some really immense improvements. And you, my young audience listening to this, going to be part of that brilliant future. I really have got miles over my 10 minutes. I do apologize for that, but I hope some of that's been of interest, and I hope I've whetted your appetite for studying in the UK. Happy Independence Day and happy International Youth Day.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you so much. Your insights are completely out of this world, I must say. And, I think you've really inspired the youth, if I may say so, when you talk about how your life has been and how things are changing and the options that UK has at this point of time when you're coming to study and then you're looking for work. These are the things that everybody wants to do today. And the best part that you highlighted was that, you don't need to be in Oxford or Cambridge. It's just you have to do what you like best and what's your passion, and then things that happen on their own. So this is, I think, something that what you mentioned is truly inspirational to the youth of today. And I'm sure there lies a lovely life ahead in the UK. In fact, I remember during my last trip, this Broadway and people dancing on the weekends and enjoying putting up their acts at Leicester Square and all around Trafalgar Square. It was an amazing experience, and most of them students. So that's something that, at least I, as a student, used to look up to go there to meet people, to make new friends. And, you were right about you don't get left alone in a country like UK. It's as if you're back home with your family. So with that, thank you, Excellency. Thank you so much for your insights and lovely remarks.
Thank you.
With this, now we move on to our next session, which is going to be talking about, we started about working there. And so once you're done with your working, well, you need to have a job. And before you have a job, you should know what to do when you are at a job. So that's where the role of an apprenticeship comes. And the government of India has been promoting apprenticeship for students, focusing with the industries, working with them. And the ICIB and NASSCOM have partnered for this initiative of the government of India. And this is something that is really important when you talk about learning. When you're out of college, implementing that knowledge is one of the most important things that comes to your mind. And this is something that we all look forward to. When you look at that part, well, we have amongst us Mr. Nikhil Gurjar, who is our co-chairman for the Educational Committee for ICIB. Welcome, Nikhil. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Manpreet. After that wonderful talk from His Excellency Nikhil, I think we are going to touch upon another important aspect where we are talking about how youth can be empowered in our country, and one of the ways in which they can be brought into the workforce is through the apprenticeship program. So we have an apprenticeship program in the country which actually has been established in the year 1961 under the Apprenticeship Act. And today, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, as well as the Ministry of Human Resource Development, These two ministries are playing the role of being the responsible agencies for the implementation. Towards that, they have actually approached industry bodies, NASSCOM being one of them, and NASSCOM and ICIB have partnered on this, and we are talking about an apprenticeship program, which is launched by NASSCOM, and ICIB is a promoting agency as well as a partnering agency for that. So the basics, I mean, if we have to cover the basics, let me talk about apprenticeship. And apprenticeship basically is not an employee. So the person is working for you. And since he is not an employee, the ESI, EPF contributions are not applicable. So there's a lot of relaxation in terms of what, the components which an employee gets and an apprentice gets. So they get a consolidated stipend. That's how it works. And any company which has more than 4 people can actually have an apprentice. And when you have more than 30 people, then the apprenticeship is mandatory. So one has to have at least 2.5% of the workforce which are apprentices. And of late, the ministry has actually said that one could go for a higher number of up to 15 employees in the companies. Now, this is about the apprenticeship program, but why are we talking about apprenticeship programs when we can talk directly about employment? You see, not all companies require employees all the time, and apprenticeship is actually a program where you're training the workforce. You're trying to see how that workforce can, work for you and come into the mainstream. At the same time, since it is largely a training program, or it is conceived as a training program, the apprenticeship program needs to be carefully understood as a development program for individuals. So it is not the mainstream labor that we are talking about, but we are talking about people who can join the main workforce later on. So that is how the apprenticeship program runs. Now, given the fact that they are not employees and they are apprentices, what is going to be the basic benefit for companies? So since there are a lot of these, like I said, the compliances in terms of employees, which is EPF, ESI, and all those which are not applicable, and that they have to be given a stipend, the effective cost for the companies comes down. And that's how the basic thing about the apprenticeship act, the way it operates. So it comes down, it's almost anywhere between 20% to 50% of the cost of an employee. Now that is a huge saving for companies. Therefore, a lot of companies are viewing this particular scheme very seriously. A lot of IT companies are also in the favor. Now there are two agencies, like I said. The first one is the Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. They actually float this program using 4 different options that they have. I will not touch upon those options right now, just because we have paucity of time. But the basic website is apprenticeshipindia.org, and in this on this website you will see all the options of MSDE. The second one is the MHRD, that is Ministry of Human Resource Development. They have their program, so they have one option in the Human Resource Development Ministry, and that is the mhrdnats.gov.in. So mhrdnats.gov.in. So this is the website in which one can look at the various types of apprenticeship programs. Now, moving on, what is interesting is what kind of roles are we talking about in this particular program. So there are 16 roles which are in the optional or the soft roles, as we call them. These roles are anywhere between the software developer to domestic data entry operator. So these are the softer ones. And if you go for the harder ones, then you got something like the networking technicians and the assemblers and all that. So there are different designations of various roles under this particular program, and each of these program has got a basic training module and there is a on-the-job training module. Now, the basic training module for the roles which we are talking about, they are anywhere between, they are about 400 hours. So 400 hours comes to about 2 to 3 months, depending on how actively one takes care of the thing. The on-the-job training modules, they vary from 610 to about 2030. So it can go up to a year. So that's the kind of on-the-job training. So naturally, a lot of different skill levels are taken in consideration. And when you look at these various programs, there is a skill banding which comes with the sector skill councils, classification. So you've got people who are at the band 7 and up to band 4. So there are different. So the band 4 is the lower one. So band 4 to band 7 is what we are looking at. So these are the various types of programs which have come up in the Sector Skill Council, and these are the ones which NASSCOM has actually promoted through the specific kind of apprenticeship program. The basic program is typically costing about 7,500 rupees, and it is for 500 hours, 400 to 500 hours, which are in the core sector. And on-the-job training that differs. So there is it differs with the role, and but the basic module is more or less constant in this. Like I said, the program has been made very flexible. Initially, there were a lot of penal provisions. Now they have reduced those penal provisions to nominal fines. Plus, instead of having a regulatory body which is doing it, it's moving towards self-regulation. That way, the companies are benefiting from that. And we are actually assisting student bodies, that is colleges and academies where students are studying, and encouraging those students to register for these programs. So these programs are largely developed by NASSCOM members, member companies also. And these programs, they are actually developing and saying that these are job-oriented programs. So typically, if you look at the normal graduation, you see there is a lot of gap in the skills which are imparted at the university level and the skills which are required in the organization. Thankfully, with this kind of program, the gap is being addressed, and this gap is being addressed by none other than the masters in the industry. Google, Scient, and all these companies. There are a huge list of names which are there in that. So this is about the apprenticeship program, and like I said, ICIB is one of the partners for promoting this particular program, and we will share with interested parties the details of how students can register, and we would facilitate the entire process. And of course, NASSCOM will do the training through their concerned agencies, and then there is a certification process. Of course, there is a little bit of detail in the certification, little bit of detail on how the mark list and all that will come, but I'm not touching that right now because that is all given on the website, and without a graphic describing that would be a little difficult and cumbersome at this stage. So the bottom line is we encourage the workforce to be trained for the industry through an apprenticeship program where the consolidated stipend is kept at around 9,000 rupees, which is a fixed stipend normally, or 7,500 plus 1,500 incentivized. So this is the kind of stipend which we talk about, and we are looking at a duration of about 6 months, 1 year, and things like that. So that's how the industry gains, because at that particular rate, you're actually training a resource, the resource joins in. And more importantly, the resource learns on the job and gets a certification which can give him adequate leverage if he is applying elsewhere. Therefore, it's a win-win for everyone. for people especially who want to take up jobs. And that's about this particular program. Thank you, Manpreet, and thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the NASCOM office or the ICIB office. We will share the email address, and you can write to us and we will respond. Thank you. Over to you, Manpreet.
Thank you, Nikhil. Yeah. Thank you, Nikhil ji, for a very insightful presentation. Namaskar, this is Tinku Gupta from ICIB. I'm the Executive Vice President taking over as President has to leave. May I request Mr. Joydeep Bordoloi to make opening remarks. Mr. Bordoloi is the Head Higher Education East and Northeast India for the British Council. Over to you, Joydeep ji.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Tinku ji, and everyone for inviting British Council in this forum. And we are very proud to be, associated with you. Firstly, I will not take too much time because Nick has said a lot about the UK and why you should go and study in UK. But I would like to, say that the British Council does lots of work around education, around English, spoken English courses, communication English courses for both for students and for adults. And also we have a very, very good digital library, and a in-person library in the Connect State Office. So I would welcome everyone to become a member and, make full of use of the library as a whole. My colleague Azhar Ali will, follow me and take you through a presentation to, tell us more about why we should go and study in UK, what are the benefits, and few aspects of visa and when you should apply visa and things like that. It will just be a follow on from what where Nick have left. So, but thank you, Tinkuji, again. We hope to reconnect over other programs on education. And over to you, Azhar.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ms. Gupta, please go ahead.
Yes, and welcome on board, Mr. Ali. May I request you to kindly make your presentation?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joydeep. Thank you, Ms. Gupta. And I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of British Council to thank the Indian Chamber of International Business for having us here today. So already the introduction part has been done by both Nick and Joydeep. So without further ado, I would like to present a briefing today. So the objective of today's briefing is to give you an overview, kind of follow up on what already Nick and Joydeep has said, and to get into details of how the UK higher education system basically works. And for that, I have the presentation. So we will be touching upon the different aspects of studying and living in the UK. So before I start presenting, I would like to say that choosing a study destination for a student is a complex process. It usually involves more than one factors. Usually there are multiple factors when you are choosing a study destination out of your country. So in some cases, it may be that as a student, you like the culture of that particular country. You find that the application process and cycle is very simple and easier. The qualification that you get is globally recognized, value for money, high employability factors. So obviously these all reasons are very important. But specifically when I talk about UK, I mean, that should be the question in everybody's mind, that why UK when it comes to an overseas study destination? Why UK, and what makes UK a very popular higher education destination, especially among Indian students? So apart from the factors that I have already mentioned, there are three factors where the UK universities stand out. And these are highly research-oriented institutions. The next is teaching methodology. And the third is the industry to institution interaction. And in the context of today's session, I think the third one is most relevant. So, and I'll go one by one on how for you as a student, why these things should matter. So when it comes to highly invested institute in research, so as a student, there's a very high probability that the faculties that you will be working with during your course, they are involved in various global research partnerships. So you have access to the knowledge and resources earlier than others, which is a very big advantage. The next is that the teaching methodology. So in UK, you are encouraged to think and study independently, and you are encouraged to think critically. So the focus is not on acquiring knowledge, rather the focus is on creating knowledge. And all these things boils down to a very high employability factor of the UK graduates. And the third thing is industry to institution interaction. So the UK universities are always very well connected with the industry. So as a student, you get this opportunity to understand the highs and lows of the sector in which you will be a future employee of. So it basically makes you more employable. Now, as you all must be aware that the global employers, they say that there is no dearth of graduates, but yes, there is a skill gap when it comes to employable graduates. And this is where the expertise of the UK universities come in, because you will find that a lot of faculties and academics in every university, they have not only a very rich academic and research background, but they also have a very rich industry background. So this really helps you to understand that what does the industry expects out of you after you complete your graduation in a UK university. Now, apart from this, there is another very important aspect that I would like to highlight is that a UK qualification is not just a degree. It is much more than that. It is an experience that you carry through your life, and basically it prepares you to go into the wider world as global citizens, to take on the role of leadership in your respective field of choice. Also, the UK's higher education system is known for its quality assurance mechanism, where every aspect of the education is set against very clear framework and standards and is assessed against it. So now I would like to start my presentation. I'll just share my screen. I hope you are able to see my screen, Mrs. Gupta.
Yes, we can see, yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. So to start with, when we talk about UK, basically it comprises of 4 countries. It's England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It is one of the oldest democracies in the world and the most modern and forward-looking countries, which lays a great emphasis on a multicultural, open, inclusive, safe, and secure society. It's a unique and a perfect choice for any international students. It has a very welcoming and inclusive way of life. The data says that 2 of the top 5 universities in the world are from the UK. A further 28 universities and colleges are amongst the Times Higher Education top 200 institutions for learning are from UK. And in 2020-2021, more than 82,000 undergraduates and postgraduate students from India chose to study in the UK over other countries. And these are the data basically that supports my claim of UK being one of the most popular study destination for higher education. It's a world leader in technological innovation. There are many multinational companies which have their headquarters in UK. Universities and institutions, as I mentioned, maintain a very strong link with these universities and many other industries. We have the industry-led learning approaches. Another interesting fact which Nick touched upon is that UK is the third largest producer of academic research papers. Now, despite representing only 0.9% of global population, the UK produces 15.2% of the world's most highly cited research. It leads the world in terms of the field-weighted citation impact in the world today. So it's a small country which exerts enormous global influence. And another fact that I would like to share, that out of all the Nobel laureates who have studied abroad, like who have not studied in their home countries, 38 of them have studied in UK. It is one of the world's trusted and most innovative countries, and it has ranked 1 for the impact of its scientific research. It is also the home of the Russell Group of Industries. So basically, Russell Group is a group of 24 universities which have formed a consortium which share the innovative research ideas within themselves. And for years, they have contributed a lot globally and made sure that this whole planet and we as a civil society have to not go through a lot of hurdles, and this world is a better place to live. So the Russell Group of Universities, they have an enormous contribution in every possible field. Now we move on to the careers and employment part. UK graduates are amongst the most employable in the entire world. So the data says that 96% of the UK graduates are employed within 6 months of completing their graduation. And the 3 unique factors that I mentioned at the start of my presentation contribute a lot to the high employability factor of the UK graduates. UK is a top 5 country for university industry collaboration. In UK, as a student, depending upon your course, you can work up to 24 hours a week while your course is on. And if you choose to stay in UK during your vacation, you can work up to 40 hours a week. So that is what is the upper limit. Obviously, your priority should be to study, and in any given scenario, you should not allow any other stuff to hamper your studies. But yeah, this is an opportunity for students who can manage their time so that they are able to sustain themselves. You graduate and start earning sooner. So basically this highlights 2 aspects of UK's higher education sector. One, of course, is a very high employability factor, and the next is this is especially for the master's program, which is a majority of master's program in UK is for 1 year. So basically, you complete your master's earlier than others. So you gain an advantage of 1 year over others, and you are back to the job market earlier than others, which is a great advantage at this critical juncture of your career. Very happy to announce the graduate route. Basically, it allows a student pursuing a degree course in UK, whether bachelor's, master's, or PhD. So for bachelor's and master's, a student needs to apply for this graduate route and can stay up to 2 years after completion of their respective program. So it is open to all international students graduating from the summer of 2021 onward. Successful applicants will be able to stay and work or look for work in the UK for a maximum period of 2 years, and students who complete their PhD will be able to stay for 3 years. You have the opportunity to switch to a skilled work visa once you have found a suitable job. You must complete a degree at undergraduate level at a UK higher education provider with a track record of compliance. So basically, the condition is that you should have completed a degree program in UK from a licensed education provider. Now we'll move to our next section, which is living in the UK. This is the approximate cost. Remember, this is just an approximation. So the cost of living, if you're living in London, it is going to be around £1,300 per month. And if you're staying in a city apart from London, beyond London, it will be approximately your cost of living, which includes your food, your accommodation, your local travel, and other relevant expenses, is going to be £1,000 per month. Travel in UK is simple and affordable. UK is well connected by every possible mode of transport, be it airport, rail, and sea connections. As a student, you get good discounts and you have access to a lot of passes that actually overall makes the expenses really cheap. Now we come to study options. So we talk about the basics today, which is the undergraduate and the postgraduate programs. The most common undergraduate programs are bachelor's or undergraduate degree, which is full-time or part-time. Also, there are some short courses such as a foundation degree, diploma of higher education, higher national diploma, certificate of higher education. The most popular postgraduate programs are a master's degree, MBA courses, PhDs or doctorates, postgraduate diplomas and qualifications, and professionals and vocational qualifications. Now, in UK, the undergraduate program basically is governed or managed by a body which is called UCAS, that is Universities and College Admissions Services. So if the audience wants, they can make a note of the website. This is really informative website, which gives you a basic overview and understanding of how the undergraduate admission system in UK works. How to apply. So these are the basic steps of the application cycle. So first, of course, you need to choose UK as a study destination. Then you decide on the course, which is very important, which should always be based on your personal interest. Then you register and apply. Then you accept the offer from a UK university. You organize your funds. Then you apply for a visa, prepare for your stay, and then finally you study in the UK. So we'll discuss quickly about two very important aspects. One is choosing the subject and the other one is choosing the university. Subject should always be based on your personal interest. Also, you should look into the job opportunities available in that particular subject area. What is the recognition of the qualification globally? Now, these are the things that you should focus on. The next important aspect is choosing the university. Now, here comes your personal choice. Say, for example, you want to stay and study in a city, a vibrant city like a London, or based on your personal preferences, you might want to study in some other cities. The location, of course, is important, the size of the university, the subject expertise. It happens that many a times you will see that a particular university may be ranking 1 in overall, but there are certain universities who are really better than that university in terms of with reference to the subject area that you are applying for. So it is very important to not only see the overall ranking of the universities, but also check the subject wise or department wise ranking of those universities. Also check what is the link with the industry. For this, I would always recommend for any aspiring student to start with 4 to 5 universities in mind, explore their website. The websites are really informative. So check what are the industry links of this university and what are the international opportunities available, for this particular program. Are they providing for any internships or not? What are the support that they are providing over and beyond the basics in terms of support for an English language or any other extracurricular activities that you think that is going to be beneficial in your career? So this is something that one should look at. Now, this is our own British Council Study UK University Finder tool. You can make a note of the URL at the bottom. This tool will help you in choosing your university, find the right course for you, how to apply, scholarships and financial support, what are the events that are being delivered in the country, what are the money and cost involved, health and safety, which is very important and which is priority of every UK university, a practical advice on living in the UK, top student tips. So applying as an undergraduate. Now, there are various important aspects of an undergraduate application, but the most important aspect is the personal statement, and it remains the same for the postgraduate applicant also. Now, this, I would like to say, is an opportunity for you as a student to highlight your skills, any extracurricular activities that you have been involved in to the UK universities. This is an opportunity to showcase yourself, that why you are suitable for this particular program and why you stand out amongst the other applicants. And this is basically the UK university asking you a question. Say, for example, they have 100 seats in a particular program and there are 1,000 applicants. So why they should be enrolling you in this particular program? So here it should be very personalized, rational, a short story of yours, and with the rationale of why are you choosing this particular program, how you're going to take this program forward, and how does it fits into the larger ambition of your life. The other important aspects of the applications are the written references. If you're employed, it is always preferred to have a written reference from an employer. If you are not, take a couple of references from your academics. For some program, you might have to appear for an interview, for some you may not. Apart from your academic track record, the university might ask you to appear for an English language proficiency test. It may be IELTS or its equivalent. Now, as I said, that for undergraduate program, it is a centralized application process. Now, these are the dates. Remember, the whole process of application, whether it is undergraduate or postgraduate, it starts in UK 1 year in advance. So if today a student is aiming for a September 2023 intakes, and by the way, there are two intakes in UK. One is a September intake and the other one is a January intake. September intake is the major one. So as we are in the month of August 2022, from next month, the applications will be open for the intake of September 2023. Only exception being Oxford and Cambridge, for which it starts much earlier, because the deadline for Oxford and Cambridge is going to be 15th of October 2022. So this deadline is for the September intake itself. Now, for all other universities, the first deadline is going to be 25th of January 2023. And admission continues till 30th of June 2023. For majority of the programs in UK, you do not need to appear for any entrance test apart from the one mentioned on the screen. Like if you're planning for your law programs, you have to appear for an LNAT. If you're for certain medicine and allied programs, you have to appear for some entrance examinations. As I said, UCAS is the Universities and College Admission Services. Now, these are the decisions that you receive from UCAS. As in, if you apply through UCAS, you get a conditional offer or an unconditional offer. Now, conditional offers is basically, as the name suggests, it is based on certain conditions. If your final year transcripts are not out, they might ask you to they might offer you a conditional offer, subject to the condition that once your final transcripts are out, you satisfy the academic criteria. An unconditional offer is basically a confirmation of acceptance of studies, which is also known as CAS. Now, this is a confirmation of your place in a program from a UK university, and this is a mandatory document that you need before you apply for a visa. The other decisions that you get from UK universities, of course, is a rejection or a withdrawal. Now, applying as a postgraduate student, as I said, again, the statement of purpose is one of the most important aspects of the personal statement. Apart from this, you might be asked to appear for an English language test, qualifications, and it is important to highlight your skills, your hobbies and interests in your personal statement. Unlike the undergraduate program, the deadline there is no one deadline for postgraduate program. It totally depends on the universities, because you have to make separate applications to each UK university. Applying for a visa. Now, the good news is that now you can apply 6 months in advance before the start of your program in UK for a student visa. The charges are going to be £363. And as I said, that everything starts with you securing a CAS, that is confirmation of acceptance of studies. Now, these are the approximate fees. Remember, these are just approximation, as the fees varies across programs and universities. So for undergraduate, it starts at £10,000 per year. For postgraduate degrees, typically it is around £15,000 per year. For medicine and management programs, you may have to pay up to £32,000 per year. Now, these are the scholarships which are managed and administered by the British Council, like the Great Scholarship, Charles Wallace India Trust Scholarship, Commonwealth Scholarship, British Council Scholarship for Women in STEM, and there are various UK bodies and universities. Every UK universities, they offer scholarships and bursaries for the international students. Now, every scholarship comes with its own criteria as well as benefits. In like there are certain scholarships that pay your complete tuition fee. Some end up paying your complete tuition fees as well as cost of living along with the return airfare. While there are certain scholarships that pay your partial tuition fees. Now we move on to the health and well-being. Remember, this is a priority of every UK university. They are aware that you are coming from a different culture, from a different country altogether. So every effort is being made by the UK universities to ensure that your health and well-being is their priority. The UK's National Health Service provides subsidized treatment and healthcare to international students. So while you are applying for visa, you need to also pay for the immigration health services, which will enable you to have access to the UK's National Health Services. Now, these are you can see these are the websites for the 4 countries of UK, that's England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, for the National Health Services. Food and shopping, the most interesting aspect. All kinds of international food and cuisines are available in the UK, so make sure that you don't miss your home. Large and exciting range of restaurant, takeaway and food halls, supermarkets, specialist shops stock a range of international foods. It is very easy to find vegetarian, vegan, and specialist diets. So I'm conscious of time. This is all about the various aspects of studying and living in UK that we wanted to present today. I would like to use the remaining of the time. If any one of you have any questions, you are most welcome to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ali, for this wonderful insight. Can we request the participants, if there is any questions, you may ask Mr. Ali, he is here to answer.
Yeah, whatever you are comfortable with, if you want to send it on the message or chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you're most welcome.
Yeah, may I ask?
Yes, please.
Here. Hi, how are you? Thank you for the nice session. I'm ICIB member. My daughter would like to take the veterinary psychology. After her graduation, she's the first year of science, and she's taking zoology and bio in here. So is it, there are any universities in UK for vet psychology?
Yeah, definitely there are. And I think you said she is in first year now, right?
Yeah, first year.
So she's planning her master's in UK.
Yeah, after graduation, she would like to go.
Right. So at this moment, I would suggest because I won't be able to name any particular university because we are representing the whole of UK's higher education sector. So I would just suggest one thing, that she should look at 4 to 5 UK universities to start with, those who are offering the particular program that she is looking into. Because I would also like to lay stress on the fact that no 2 programs are the same. So you know, 2 programs may sound similar, but it is very important to dig one level deeper and see what are the modules that are being offered. This is really important to check what are the modules that are being offered under the program, because she may be interested in a particular module of the program which may not be part of the overall syllabus. So this is really important. To start with, have 4 to 5 universities, go through their website to get yourself familiar with the whole application process. The UK university websites are really informative, and she can start if she has any university or subject specific queries, she can start writing to the UK universities. They are very prompt and they're going to answer her. And then finally she can, in her final year basically, because what she's studying right now should be her priority. Okay. So, from the final year, as I said, that the application starts 1 year in advance. So maybe by the end of second year, she can start zeroing in on 2 to 3 universities and start the application process.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your guidance.
Thanks for the question. Thank you.
And ma'am, this is Joydeep here. I have also put a link on the chat box. There are more than 40 institutions in UK. Who teaches vet psychology or animal psychology, like you say.
Okay.
So please go through them and try to,
Okay.
she should go through it as a, as a desk research.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Thank
have
you.
taken a screenshot. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any questions? One thing I had a query, Mr. Ali, is that what is the time that students should devote before for the preparation for studying onward in UK?
So this is very subjective, and as I said, that first of all, the present course of the student, what the student is studying, should be the priority. Now, when it comes to preparation, there is, apart from as I mentioned, a few entrance tests. Like if a student is planning to study law, then it is going to be NLAT and all. But apart from that, no special preparation is required. Yes, information is required, for which I think if a student starts devoting even half an hour per day in their final year, if planning for a master's program, or from in when they just end up in class 12, if they are planning their undergraduate program, it's more than enough. Yes, if the student has to appear for an English language proficiency test like an IELTS or TOEFL or any other entrance test, then a special preparation would be required. But for that also, I think, a space of 6 months for 1 hour each day is fine.
And the test, the ones which are requiring for appearing in this competitive exams. So how the preparation can be done for the Indian students from India? Is there any courses or classes or any website?
So as far as IELTS is concerned, which is basically an English language proficiency test, so British Council itself has got an IELTS preparatory course for which anybody interested can visit our office, and we have our wonderful customer service colleagues who will be guiding them throughout. And then we have a very vibrant teaching center with expertise in this English language proficiency who can teach and guide the student, which has a track record of enabling the student to get their desired band in IELTS. Now, when it comes to other entrance test, so the preparation, it is mostly self-preparation when it comes, because these are based on the subject areas like an NLAT or a UK CAT for that. But any universities who is asking the student to appear for these exams also will be guiding on the whole administrative aspect of the application. So for IELTS, it's always British Council, and for others, it is basically possible to prepare self-preparation for this entrance test.
And are there any Indian universities who are having any affiliation or any partnership with British Council for these kind of preparatory classes for their students?
See, we have delivered different kind of English language teaching classes and modules to different institutions. Like there have been academic universities, there have been corporates and various institutions with which we have delivered, and even to the we have delivered English language classes. Like right now, we are delivering to the Kolkata police, as well as we are delivering it to the offices of the state government. So there are many to highlight. There are many such collaborations and partnerships that we have had, where we have delivered through our expert faculties and teachers. We have delivered several English language programs to different departments, both governmental and non-governmental organizations.
So thank you so much, Mr. Ali. Is there anyone else who has any questions? I suppose we have to move on. There was a presentation by Mr. Wangchuk, but unfortunately he had a last-minute appointment and he had to apologize for his inability to participate in this webinar. So with this, I come to the concluding remarks, and thank you everyone for taking time out and joining with us in celebrating the International Youth Day. We look forward to many more engagements and take the discussions forward. With this, I thank each and everyone once again for joining with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.